Hey, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you. Can't hear you though because you're muted. But
Hold
yeah,
on. All right, how about now?
now we can hear you.
All right.
How
Good
things
deal.
been? You been okay?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing good. Doing good.
Good.
Our
Just,
internet went out at the office about 4:15.
oh,
I scrambled on home and made it, made it all's well.
there you go. It's always good sometimes to work from home anyway. So,
Once in a while.
yep. All right then.
You still going out of town once in a while?
Do what?
Still going out of town for some work once in a while?
Occasionally. Hold on. Let me answer my family.
Looking good, Rosalie. Uh, no noise. Muted. Mr. Ben Packett, are you on the call?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you
Good.
our auditor?
I am, yes.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Yes, sir. We're just getting our technology oriented, so
I
hang
was
in there with it. Do you need
hoping mine was going to work well.
anything you're going to share screens about, or is yours a talking presentation?
I'm just going to speak. I'm going to reference the report. Hopefully you all have copies that you can follow along with.
Right. They received electronic copies in their agenda packets.
Okay, perfect.
Gary, the answer to your question is not as much, but occasionally.
Uh-huh.
I'm also a part-time investigator for Nelson County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. So I kind of hang close up there.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. Scott Pleasance, are you around your computer?
I am. I'm just
Great.
looking at a
Thank you.
couple things as you guys are chit-chatting.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we were coordinated when it comes time to share the screen so that you can do your presentation. And that's Mallory. Mallory's camera has come on. She is the coordinator of all things technical, and can turn you into the push button person, or she can push buttons when you say next slide.
No, it's fine. Either way works for me.
Mallory, you want to make an executive decision?
You should have screen sharing options
Okay.
now if you want to see if you can. And then
I
if
do.
not, yeah, then that's, when your presentation comes up, if you want to pull, I've got it pulled up too, but if you want to roll with it and if you have
No.
any issues, I can be the backup. That's fine
Sounds
by me.
great.
Scott, I really appreciate you doing this.
That's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
It's been a while since this group has heard about the technology world of Lynchburg, and many of these folks were not on the council when we were in the partnership mode, and it'll be fresh to them.
Sounds great.
but you've got to listen to our audit first. So go get a Coke or something stronger. There you go. Kelly, are you with us? Kelly Hitchcock?
I am.
You'll get a giggle out of the fact that our internet at the office went out at 4:15.
Yeah, I know. I could see that. Because I was trying to send an email and I could see it spinning away there. So
So we went
we're in good shape
other locations.
here. I'm here. All good.
Gary, I'm sorry, Gary, I am here, Rosalie. So I'm using my cell phone, but like I said, after the audit and my section, I may bail.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You will be introducing Ben Packett from Robinson Farmer Cox, right?
Yeah, I figure out how to work this, so yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
Thanks.
Hey, Gary.
Uh-huh. Still
This,
here.
this is Kelly. After my section, I'll also leave too, because the city's having their Parks and Recreation, and I'm on that focus group meeting that's from 6 to 8. So
Okay.
as soon as I'm done, I'll boogie off to move to that.
Okay, Reed, glad you're here.
Hey, Gary, thanks a lot. How are you?
We had a good day today.
It's been a great day. It's always a beautiful day in Lynchburg, and
That's what they've
there's
said
no
for
exception.
years. Yes, sir. And Kelly, that's you on the dial-in phone, right?
Correct.
So, Mr. Bayer, we only have one dial-in, and we know who that is. That's one of our family.
All righty, it's 5 o'clock. I guess we'll wait till 5:01 to get started. Give
Yeah,
everybody a
let's
chance.
just
to
give
get
folks a
online.
couple extra minutes. Good to see Sarah Carter. Hey there.
I think everybody thinks this is the only shirt I got because it's the one on in the brochure in the 2020 plan. Oh, all righty, let's get going here. I want to welcome everybody as chair of the Central Virginia Planning District Commission. We have any guests today?
No, sir, no guests that are not going to be introduced later in the meeting, and no new members. We do have a quorum. So I think that, and we have one new person who's joined by telephone. With the person with the 2522.
It should be Ada. I know
Oh,
that she's
hi,
calling
Ada.
by phone, just so you're aware. I believe she's driving home, so she's listening by phone.
Okay, good to have you, Ada. Ada Hunsberger, our newest transportation planner. Greetings, Robert Hiss. Good to see you, sir.
Glad to be seen.
Indeed. Thank you, Chairman Connor. Go ahead and rock and roll.
All right, thank you. Our next item, approval of the January 21st, 2021 meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those? If anybody has any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and approve them as presented and forward them on for later consumption.
Let's go ahead and take a vote on that so that we have it in the record in the minute, in our record, with a motion and a second, and then you can ask for anybody opposed.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Read what it is.
Motion properly seconded. Any discussion? To approve the January 21st, 2021 meeting minutes. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. Meeting minutes are approved. The next is the financial update, the audit report. Mr. Matt McLaren.
Rosalie, you want to introduce
This is
Ben
Rosalie.
Packett in place of Matt McLaren tonight?
Yes, indeed. This is Rosalie Majerus. Ben Packett will be presenting the audit. You should have two attachments. One is the audit itself, and then the communication with those charged with government. So, Ben, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. I want to get started just talking about the field work that we performed. So we had a team of 4 auditors. It was about 3 days of field work. We evaluated and tested internal controls. We performed detailed testing of records and concluded on the financial statements. Typically, we are requesting a lot of information in a very short period of time. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Rosalie and the rest of the staff for all the help that they gave us throughout the process of the audit. There are auditing standards that require that we communicate certain matters with those charged with governance. This is that separate attachment that you should have communication with those charged with governance. I'm going to go over a few of those items right now. The first item is responsibilities, both of management and the auditor. So management is to provide financial records and statements for audit purposes and to accept the overall responsibility of the financial statements themselves. The auditor is responsible for performing the audit tasks, test of controls, and to opine on the reasonableness of the financial statements. The next item is talking about accounting estimates. Estimates are a normal part of the financial reporting process. The main estimate in this specific report here is regarding the depreciable lives of capital assets. The third item is any difficulties encountered performing the audit. This could be incomplete records, inability to access certain records. We noted no such difficulties. The next item is corrected and uncorrected misstatements. All proposed adjustments that we gave were recorded, so there are no uncorrected misstatements. The next item is disagreements with management in applying any accounting principles. We noted no disagreements with management in applying any principles. The next item is management's consultation with other independent auditors. You might sometimes hear this referred to as opinion shopping. We're not aware of any consultations between management and other auditors. And the last item is audit findings. And we noted no audit findings that affected our opinion in the financial statements. So I'm going to move to the financial statements themselves, which I believe is in a separate attachment that you were given. And I'm going to start on page 1, which is the independent auditor's report. So the type of independent auditor's report issued here is what's known as an unmodified report. That's a report without any modifications. And the opinion can actually be found at the bottom of page 1, and it says that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. This is a clean opinion. This is a good thing. Moving forward throughout the report, I'm going to touch on the management's discussion and analysis, which you can find starting on page 3, and it goes through to page 6. I'm not going to touch on anything specific in this. I just want to bring it up and point it out because it's a great section that management that gives a summary of the information from management's perspective. It provides a narrative overview of the financial statements. It provides financial analysis, analytical comparisons to the prior fiscal year, as well as highlights from the past year. So this is generally a great overall summary of the past year for the commission. Moving forward to the actual financial statements themselves, the first statement can be found on page 7. This is Exhibit 1, the statement of net position. This is the equivalent of a balance sheet. The commission reported total net position or equity as of June 30th, 2020 in the amount of $8,754,807. $2,467,151 of this is considered liquid, unrestricted, and available to be expended by the commission. This unrestricted portion of net position represents 56% of operating expenses. A lot of traditional governmental entities, you will see the benchmark that is given for them to be for what percentage of operating expenses usually lies in the 15 to 25% range. So at 56%, you're well above this traditional measure that's given to entities. Another thing I want to point out that's on the statement of net position, this is the 5th year that the net pension asset or liability has been a part of the statements. And the balance is actually a net pension asset, and it's totaling $531,644. And what this is that the plan assets actually exceed the actuarially determined benefits that are to be paid. And this is an increase of $18,000 over the prior year. And another similar piece is the other post-employment benefits liability. This is listed as a liability this year, which means that the liabilities is what the actuarial determined benefits to be paid exceeds the current plan assets. And that's made up of a health insurance liability, which is $84,973, and a group life insurance piece, which is $72,000. So I'm going to move forward to the next exhibit, which is on page 8. This is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. This is similar to an income statement or profit and loss statement. Operating revenues decreased by $130,000 over the prior year. This is mostly attributable to an overall decrease in regional radio board revenues. And then operating expenses increased by $129,000 over the prior year. And almost all of this increase is attributable to direct program expenses. The commission reported a net operating loss of $877,264. This is a higher loss than the prior year of $259,000, mostly related to the increase and decrease in the increase in expenses and the decrease in revenue that I spoke about before. But overall, the commission's net position did increase $23,924. Moving on to the next exhibit, which is the Exhibit 3, which is the final financial statement, the statement of cash flows. The cash position of the commission decreased $94,058, and cash position at June 30th, 2020 was $2,013,775. An increase in the purchase of capital asset accounts for a majority of that decrease in cash position for fiscal year 20. The next section of the report, I'm just going to touch on a few items within, but it's the note disclosures. The first note that I like to bring up is going to be note 4, which is on page 15. And so this note is the change in current year capital assets. It's a good summary showing the beginning of year amounts, additions, deletions, and then the end of year balance. And then there's also a similar schedule showing what the prior year table looked like. There was an overall decrease of $656,167 in net capital assets, and that's total capital assets less accumulated depreciation. The next note I want to touch on is note 14, which can be found on page 37. And so note 14 is the change in long-term obligations. And there was an overall, this is similar to the last table I showed, but it's the long-term obligations. And then there's an additional spot that shows any amounts that are due within 1 year, which are reported as short-term on the balance sheet. There was a decrease of $869,813 in long-term obligations. Other than those two notes, most of the rest of the notes and the few additional exhibits that follow the notes are standard reporting. And you'll notice most of it is related to the pension and other post-employment benefits regulations that have increased over the last few years. Those are standard reporting notes, and aside from the figures there's a few figures within that change showing the amounts for this year. There's not much difference from year to year between those. So I'm going to go ahead and move to our internal control report, which you can find on pages 47 and 48. And so this internal control report, as with all governmental type entities, the Commission's report contains an internal control report, which is also known as a Yellow Book opinion. And so in this opinion, we have disclosed no material weaknesses or any significant deficiencies or illegal acts that we've become aware of during the process of our audit. And then starting on page 49, you'll find what is the independent auditor's report on compliance of each major program. This is something that's required by the Uniform Guidance. This was formerly known as Circular A-133. It's what is known as a single audit that we performed on the federal revenues of the Commission. And in our single audit, we did not report any findings or question costs related to our federal testing. So those are the main points I wanted to talk about the report. I'll go ahead and conclude my remarks saying that the Commission's financial records were intact, they were accurate, and the audit overall provided a clean opinion. I'd like to thank you for your time, and with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that anyone has.
Anyone have any questions? Ben, thank you for your presentation. I'm glad to see that that the staff's doing such a great job in a very efficient and correct way.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Mayor, let's ask Rosalie if she needs any action from the Commission on the audit.
We typically just, you accept it is really all.
So no motion is needed then.
No. Mm-mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Our next item is our year-to-date financial report. Rosalie, if you bring us up to date on that.
Okay, just a couple of items to highlight. On the bottom of page 1, the operating expenses year-to-date of $585,000 are right where we should be with budget. I will point out that I realize that I have made a rather large mistake in our budget this year. And it is in the employer cost health insurance line, where I had a budget of $79,952, and we're currently at $68. 772. So I made a mistake, and and hopefully by next report we'll have where we think we'll end up the year, and along with our current budget. But that being said, from the savings that we've had this year from lack of travel and those kinds of things, I believe that our total operating expenses will be in line overall. So, and I guess the other thing that I saw that looked a little odd, but I wanted to point it out, is on page 2 under DRPT. We had a budget of 12,000, but we had expenses of 25. 21,750 is going to be covered by revenue that is being carried forward from next year. So 21,000 of that 25 is going to be covered with additional revenue. I didn't know if anyone had any particular questions or. Nope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie. Appreciate that update. Next, we have a presentation from Innovate Lynchburg. We're glad to receive Terry Ripley, the board president. Mr. Ripley.
And thank you, Mayor Connor. Let me introduce Scott Pleasance, who will be doing the presentation tonight instead of Terry. The PDC has had a long relationship over the years with the Regions Technology Council back in the days when we were the Region 2000 partnership. Over those years, we donated or invested $60,000, maybe $90,000 in the CAER and their work. Our strategic directions effort in August 2019 identified advanced manufacturing as something that the PDC ought to support. And last summer, we invested $134,000 in the community colleges, career and technical education academies to support that effort. And Scott's going to talk about Innovate Lynchburg, the Technology Council, and how they have changed from the Region 2000 Technology Council to what they are today. Scott has spent 17 years with Liberty University and is now running DMG Today, a technology consulting and solutions company here in Lynchburg. So welcome, Scott Pleasance, and glad to have you, and take it away.
So thanks so much for having us here today. And just to give you a little bit of background, we are now a rebranded organization. We used to be the Region 2000 Tech Council, and it was established as one of the 13 embodying tech councils across the state of Virginia. And a few years ago, we started to look at the clientele that we were trying to reach. And one of the things that we ran into was that the term tech council only brought out the geeks. And that really wasn't the crux of all of our constituents. And so we started to think through it, and we said, Innovate Lynchburg really kind of was a name that really inspired where we wanted to go. And so as we start to look at this, we're not your typical or ordinary tech council here in the region. We're focusing in on entrepreneurship, business and technology, social entrepreneurship, engineering and research, and also STEM initiatives. And these culminate in an idea that took us about a year to really re-strategize on what kind of culture we wanted to create here in the Lynchburg area. And so what we did is we went through a full rebranding. Our logo actually exhibits something that's near and dear to this region, of course, is Sharp Top. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to make our organization a little bit more inviting to more than just technical people. We want everybody in any vertical that uses technology in their business to know that this is an organization that actually can help drive and invest time in helping them to achieve their goals, but to also help new ventures to achieve their technical goals. And so just a couple of things just to jump right in here. Our mission statement is we are just simply your technology ambassadors in the region. We are here to help promote and develop your business, but we're also here to help you navigate the world of industry, education, government, and in other areas such as entrepreneurship and also other social issues. Our mission is, again, just to kind of really encapsulate it, we exist to champion innovation in our region. The thing is we want to be that voice for startups, for our tech community, and we want to be the voice for our businesses that are already here and are established that use technology on a daily basis. As we start to look at what our vision is, we are made up of a variety of different verticals. We look at things very differently. We've got people as far off as in the cellular industry, all the way down to those who are professors in universities, up into the point we have startups and we have entrepreneurs that are coming to us asking us really deep diving questions. One of the things that we want to do is we want to invest in something bigger in ourselves, and that's one of our catalyzing initiatives is in the region, is to basically take all of this energy, all of these companies that are in the region, and bring them together so that the world knows that Central Virginia actually is doing something. One of the things that our board has come across, and we've talked about this in the region, we do a poor job of telling people what we do and what we're really good at. And this past year, it's opened up many doors for us to open the eyes of those that are on the outside that are looking at solutions that are Virginia-based. So, as I said earlier, we are promoting entrepreneurship. One of the things that we are tackling every day is we're helping organizations that are trying to get a startup. So, for example, we have an organization that actually has COVID killing lights. This organization has been through RAMP and they've been through several different accelerators across the state. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to help them focus in, but to also establish a footprint here in the Central Virginia area. We're focusing on professional development. This is something that we're passionate about. Just this past year during National Cyber Month, we held basically a week-long seminar series for everyday users of technology, because guess what? We're all sitting here in Zoom, but guess what? Every parent, every kid, every individual in Lynchburg, regardless of their status, has a cell phone in their hand. So it was an incredible opportunity to professionally develop not only those that we serve every day as consumers, but also we developed these courses around serving the business community. Then I want to touch on commercialization. Commercialization is basically getting those products ready to go to market. And we've had several in the region that have some amazing ideas that we're hoping that we're going to see emerge into the next level to where they can get ready for that round of Series A funding. We're also about networking. Here's the thing, you know what? People are excited when people are interested in the same things. And so we have started something called Homebrew 2.0. The Homebrew Computing Club started the PC revolution in the 1970s, and we're capitalizing on the same thing. And I said, you know what? Here's the thing. We go over to CVCC, we go to Liberty, we go to Randolph, we go to Sweetbriar, and we're just getting people talking about what's happening. And when you get people collectively talking about some things that are cool, all of a sudden great ideas come out of that. And then the last two, I'm just going to kind of touch on. We're going to try to increase capital. We've already started a partnership with 757 Angels. My background is in technology commercialization. So we are really trying to get beyond just saying, hey, we're not talking about loans now. We're talking about getting seed funding, helping those entrepreneurs collectively get the funding they need to take things to market. And we're not talking about research. We're talking about hardcore people that are really looking to invest their capital to see something grow. And then again, we're investing in our technical workforce. This is working with people like CVCC and several other organizations in the region. These are some of the partnerships that we've developed. The NASA reactor, which is the accelerator out in Virginia Beach, 2 of their individuals came out here looking for resources to help products that they're developing stay in Virginia. So we introduced them to AMTI and Novatech just so that they could actually see that there is actually something going on out here that can actually benefit the whole entire state. CIT, of course, that goes without saying. We're an active part of CIT. Bob Stolley is a part of our board, and it's been amazing seeing what we're able to do through them and Go Virginia. The Shenandoah Tech Council and the Roanoke Blacksburg Tech Council, we have been tied at the hip, and we're creating a new way in which we're going to bridge a technology initiative that goes from Roanoke all the way across the state. Because one of the things we're finding is we just need to start talking together. The RAMP and VIC and 757 Angels have been excellent contributors. Our board is actively involved in all of these areas. And then most recently, I'm on the board of directors for the American Dreammakers program, which is based out of Houston, Texas. This is a NASA initiative that was started by Pete Conrad's daughter. And this is another opportunity for not only those students that are developing new products to gain basically financial backing, but it also provides scholarships up to $15,000 a year for STEM related programs. The other thing I want to do is I just want to highlight on some things that we have done this year to support our community. And that is first and foremost, one of our board members is with Chantel. We provided laptops for students at CVCC who were actually concerned about all the mishaps within COVID, how they were going to stay online because we had several students in the region that just couldn't afford the technology. We also partnered up with Best Buy and Walmart on those initiatives. But we've also developed partnerships with T-Mobile and several others with the Virginia Broadband Commission, because what we want to do is we want to stop talking about feasibility studies about broadband. We don't want to see a map that was developed in Richmond that indicates that only this particular area, one person has internet, so that means that whole area is covered. We're going to actually look at a targeted plan for improving broadband in the region, and partners like T-Mobile are willing to jump in there. Again, as I've told you, we've started to orchestrate new partnerships. We're also looking at new ventures. Just recently, we had a young man from Appomattox, who's the CEO of a Bosch vendor, basically a partnership. And he said, you know, we need to look at additive manufacturing out here. What would it take? So we're starting to explore this with Mike. We're also developing new partnerships with companies like Walmart to develop a pathway to careers and keeping that talent in our region. We do a great job of developing talent, but we also have a great, we do a great job of sending it to somebody else. We want to create this talent and keep them here. So we've had conversations with Cisco. And this just happened about a month ago. And I said, look, I want 5 jobs in the region that are remote. And then each year, as this program succeeds, let's increase that to 10, then to 20, and let's have a 5-year consecutive plan. Because there are things that are happening in Virginia right now that we actually have a great opportunity to be a part of. And that's Microsoft and Amazon moving to Northern Virginia. We are a remote workers paradise. That means you don't have to sit on the Beltway. You can sit right here in Lynchburg, Virginia, or in Appomattox, or in Alta Vista, and you can actually do the same job that you would do in Nova. We're also, we've been helping the National Center for Healthy Veterans, which is a brand new organization to Alta Vista. Bob Dees is a very good friend of mine, and we are helping to strategize ways in which they can leverage technology and to develop new businesses that can actually emerge out of this new venture. Data Perivia is a company that is local to Lynchburg, Virginia, and they're expanding across the country as we speak. Again, working alongside of these partners and helping them to develop new strategies so that they can grow. Most recently, we also had the real estate community reach out to us. Again, these are men and women that are selling homes in the region, but they are barely leveraging the technology that they have. So we've done everything from workshops to coming alongside of them to make better business decisions. And then just to wrap this thing up here a little bit is we're also focusing in on the schools, because one of the things that we want to do is we want the schools to actually emerge and see technology as a solution based, not a means to an end. So for example, we partnered with T-Mobile with their 10 million project. All the schools had to do is say, this is how many students that we know that don't have access to internet. All T-Mobile said, that's fine. We'll give them a device for up to 5 years and they'll have high-speed broadband at no charge. So looking at people like T-Mobile, Cycom, Bark, and several others, we are really looking to find ways in which we can actually harness this this energy in our community, but then scale it and direct it to be more focused. And so at the end of the year that we actually have a Vita that says we have done X, Y, and Z at the end of the year. And then this last piece on social entrepreneurship, it has to do with a group called Isaiah 117. This is a family out of Tennessee. They have actually exploded. Most people don't know that foster children, that when they're in between being passed off, they are sometimes left with a magistrate, which means they're sitting in a jail cell, or they're sitting in a boardroom of a social services. And so a couple out of Tennessee started this organization, and it's community based. And what it is they developed a program where they build a house, and these children that are coming through foster care, they're given a median place to stay, so that they can actually, when they go to their foster family, they're not just coming straight from harm's way or wherever they're at. They're actually given a place where they can come and sleep. They can get better clothes than they came in with. And then also they've got people there that can care for them. And this is an organization that just recently came to us asking for help. And so we've connected them with Walmart, which has given them a substantial grant. So with that being said, we're also going to continue supporting STEM in the region. We're going to continue to focus on building great talent in our region, because we want those people to stay in Lynchburg and the surrounding areas. And I keep saying Lynchburg, I'm not meaning to leave anyone out. It's just that we tend to be like a city hub here. But when we look at the 2,000 square miles around Lynchburg, we need to be developing that talent, and we want to keep that talent here. So Innovate Lynchburg, we see the world not as it is, but rather what it can become. And we are passionate about serving not only our community, but also serving those that live here. So with that being said, do you have any questions for me?
Scott, you got some thoughts about next steps for your organization?
So we do have some next steps. So one of the things that we are looking at doing, we're looking at developing a team that hopefully we'll be able to hire on an executive director. The Region 2000 Tech Council, we went through a reorganization a few years back. And one of the things that we ended up losing was our executive director. But one of the things that we want to do is we also want to build a team, a way in which we can actually not only market our region, but also help those businesses more effectively. So one, we do definitely need, we're looking at getting an executive director. Number two, we're looking to grow our membership. And that is not just for technical organizations. Every business, every workplace is a technical place. Whether you're Southern Air or whether you're a mobile shop over here or whether you're Moe's, you're using technology. And we want to be a part of helping those organizations achieve all that they want to achieve with that technology. So those are some of the things that we have coming up this next year. So we're actually pushing to reorganize what we're doing. We're also going to be increasing our membership, which we do feel that that will be a major part of what we do. And that means marketing our region. Again, just for myself, everywhere I go, I wear two hats when I go to a conference. I'm wearing my my organization hat, but then I'm wearing my Innovate Lynchburg hat, because there are things that are going on right here in the Central Virginia area that others need to know about. And when you can tell them that story, all of a sudden you get people like Daniel and Robert coming out here from Virginia Beach to find out, hey, we could actually build this and Virginia, rather than sending all of our prototypes to New York or adjacent cities or adjacent states. So that's one of the things that we're really, really focusing in on this year. Last thing, let me just throw this in there too. We are working with telehealth quite a bit. We've been working with Ortho Virginia and helping them with some Azure and some health, mobile healthcare type of projects. And I will say this, that's going to be an emerging thing in the post-COVID. It's not going to go away. It's going to actually get better. So as we're looking at organizations that are doing, whether it's counseling, whether it's physicals, or whether it's doing other types of medical related activities, we want to be a part of that. So thank you.
Scott, thank you for coming on today.
Yes, Scott, appreciate that presentation. It was very informative. Anybody else have any questions for Scott?
The folks make connections through your website. Is that how they reach you?
They can reach us through our website. We will be launching a new mobile platform, which is very new. It's actually a Virginia-based company that has developed the platform for us. And that will be pretty much launching within the next couple of weeks. And that'll be tied in with our website. So yes, you can reach me at scott@innovatelyynchburg.com. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And if you'd love to get involved, we'd love to have you.
Again, thank you, Scott. We do appreciate that.
Thank you.
And to our next agenda item, we have Kelly Hitchcock with the CDPDC Planning and Development Update. Go ahead, Kelly.
All right, good evening, folks. Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I go in reverse and start with C and move to A? It'll be quicker.
That'll work.
Okay. The first thing, very easy, is FY21 CDBG priority list. That is a yearly activity. It has relevance to 9 of the 10 localities, basically those non-entitlement CDBG localities. It's basically DHCD's right out of the starting gate way to rate applications. Those applications that come in as a region's priority get a few more points starting out of the gate. And so what you have in front of you is the priority list that we are proposing to submit on our region's behalf. And it's based directly on what has always been the case, where comprehensive community development has always been our top priority. That's where you can pretty much do anything. Then you have housing rehabilitation, which typically is not our area's priority, but we do that because the town of Bedford is submitting an application in April, and we want to make sure that they get the most points coming out of the gate. And then secondly is public infrastructure, and public infrastructure has always been our priority. So, and then the attachment on the new CDBG programs, that's pretty self-explanatory. So I'll just, ask that y'all approve the prioritization that we will submit as presented to you. And take any questions on that if there are any.
Kelly, are you asking for action, or is this just informational?
It's informational. We wanted to bring it to you. In the past, the PDCs have, we've never brought it to the board and it's never been approved. I think you'll approve it, but if we wanted to make it so if you could approve it, that would be good. It's not required. But as long as there's no hiccups with that, that's what we'll be submitting to DHCD and via email tomorrow.
If no one from the those attending has any decision to this, we would like to approve this by consensus.
Sounds good.
Thank y'all very much.
All right.
All right, to your
Great.
next slide.
Now we'll talk about the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. As you know, we were working on the Hazard Mitigation Plan. That is a regional document. It's the pre-hazard regional planning document. It is very important to be eligible for any locality to be eligible for what used to be those pre-mitigation funds, which is now the Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities Program, the big BRIC program of FEMA. Those dollars go up. It's now a congressional 6% of all federal disaster funding must go to pre-disaster dollars. We submitted our regional plan to FEMA in December and received approval pending adoption designation on January 22nd. 6 of the localities have approved the document thus far. We have, scheduled to go to those final localities over the between now and April. We did receive some good scores from FEMA. They actually had 2 things on our hazard mitigation plan that they consider to be best practices. And we actually gave a presentation on a FEMA Region 3 webinar yesterday for our cascading hazard visual that was developed by our consultants at Virginia Tech. The webinar yesterday had the largest audience that FEMA had ever had, and I've already received questions from other localities that want to use that. And again, FEMA wants to use that as a best practice for hazard mitigation plans going forward. And finally, I just want to say that, in full disclosure, we were remiss on our last hazard mitigation plan. It lacked some elements that it needed to have, which FEMA was more than willing to point out, but we also didn't maintain it. We never kept up with the things that localities were doing that the hazard mitigation plan talked about doing. And that's not going to happen this time. We have developed a very comprehensive maintenance schedule for this hazard mitigation plan, and we will also be working directly with the localities and our partners to so that you have the arrows in your quiver and the information when funding opportunities come forward. And we're going to make sure that, we do what we can to make this a valuable document, as it should be, especially considering Virginia will now have its Community Flood Preparedness Fund program, which is $40 million. And so again, that's the status of the hazard mitigation plan. And I'll answer any questions if there are any. And lastly, the comprehensive economic development strategy. As you folks know, the CEDS was developed. Scott was the program manager for that project, and we submitted or finished that document almost in November of 2017. Then we had to come back and do an implementation plan, and it was approved by EDA in September of 2018. When we, as you know, we came to you folks, I believe it was April of 2020, to talk about seeking economic development district designation. And we went to the EDA, and they basically said, you're missing a few things within your CEDS in order to make that an opportunity for you guys. The other thing that has happened recently is Amherst County has tried to put in an application or submitted an application for EDA, and the consultant came back and said, hey, we need the project in the CEDS. We didn't have those projects. So what we would like to do, our current CEDS has a date until December of 2022. What we would like to do is, and EDA supports this, is move forward with an application to update the CEDS so that it meets the requirements that EDA would like that SEDS to have. That it provides the project elements that EDA would like to see within a SEDS. And then finally, it accomplishes the delta that we're missing a little bit, which is much more of a robust conversation about what the economic needs are in the rural components of our region. We are a 60% rural region, but the SEDS didn't really talk about our agricultural communities, and we didn't really take the new requirement that they're wanting to see in SEDS, where you're really talking about resiliency. Now, what we did do with EDA is we sent to them our recent hazard mitigation plan. And so we know we're in line to tick some of the boxes. So we can, what our proposal for your consideration is that we submit an application to SEDS, to EDA to update our SEDS slightly in advance of when we would necessarily have to, but that does two things. A, it allows us to address the delta in our SEDS. It allows us to develop projects in our SEDS, which is what they want to do, which makes it easier for you guys to go after money. Thirdly, it allows us to bring in the agricultural community to find out what's going on with there. I'll tell you, I got a call from a farmer in Bedford County that wants to go into hemp production. And so I was talking to him. I was like, wow, is that really something you think other people are going to, do? Because it's looking for value on your crops, right? And it was really interesting. His contract is actually with a company out of Great Britain, which is fascinating. And then, so it allows us to take that agricultural leap, and it also allows a very close movement from our recent hazard mitigation plan to kind of move to that resiliency side and ultimately do it all for less money than what we would have spent if we wait. So it's our recommendation is we go in for that SEDS application with a kind of not to exceed $60,000, because it's a 50-50 grant, and then come back to you guys with the details of what that application will be and ask for your approval in submitting that application at the next meeting. So right now, we're really just asking if you support this concept and the idea to allow me as staff to move forward.
And this is a great time for questions about this SEDS update. What we have in mind is, as part of the April meeting, to bring the PDC budget, and as part of that budget, this extra allocation for the SEDS update to match the EDA grant. So that's at that April meeting is when you'll be asked to take a vote on it. So this is a good time to take questions about why and so on and so forth.
So do we have any questions for Kelly?
Hey, Kelly, this is Scott. I was just going to ask you, I had an interesting conversation with Tracy a while back, but especially within the area of agro and what is happening out there. Are there any talks around what they're doing with drone activity, expanding in those areas, even educating some of those farmers on that?
Scott, that's exactly what our current SEDS really didn't do. We didn't have a deep dive conversation in the rural areas to see what are the farmers and land and forestry folks seeing, and what are they seeing what are their needs changing. We've actually heard from the forestry that with these high temperatures, they're seeing their yield productions are down. And what are the changes that they were going to see? Again, the super nice farmer in Bedford was like, he invited my husband and out there to see them for their new hip crop. We're like, heck yeah, we're on it. And so, you know, that will be part of what we want to do. But I want to go back, Mr. Chairman, which is if there aren't specific questions, what I would feel comfortable is if there's at least a consensus in the concept of staff moving forward and kind of laying out and coming to you guys with an application for a submittal consideration in April. So I'm not spinning my wheels, basically.
Is there any opposition to her moving forward with this process from those attending? If not, we will direct her to continue on with the consensus of the members. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's all.
All right, next, Mr. Christie with the Brownfield Assessment Coalition Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just this informational item for the commission, EPA has provided funding for several of our jurisdictions related to brownfield programs where they assess property, whether it's an old gas station or maybe a manufacturing building that's not in use anymore. And they assess that to determine what costs and what degree of severity that might be there to clean up that site. What I'm going to be working on over the next several months is identifying if there are enough jurisdictions, 3 jurisdictions, who have small sites that don't really qualify for a full-fledged EDA grant, EPA grant by itself. But we could cluster them together in what's called an assessment coalition and pursue that grant to help these small sites. It does allow those jurisdictions that don't have a big enough project or have don't want to mess with the paperwork of a EPA grant. The thing is due in the fall. So we'll be working through the summer to put it together and to see whether or not there's interest. I've already had interest from one jurisdiction already. So this is more of information to get your attention, and be happy to answer any questions about it as we tonight or as we move along through the course of the springtime.
Sounds like a good project, Gary.
It does seem like if there's a jurisdiction in need, have a small project, that makes sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good for that topic. If it's okay, I'll move on to the next one where I do need some action. It was in 2014 that we updated our personnel system and eliminated steps and created pay bands where employees' pay move along the pay band. And so we needed to look to see whether those pay bands still fit the market, especially in regards to starting pay, since it hadn't been adjusted to since 2014. There are 4 positions that I'd like to move up 1 pay band for the Workforce Board and the PDC employees. The Services Authority employees will still be reviewed by the Service Authority Board at their April meeting. It's not a pay raise for these individuals because all 4 of these folks are currently paid more than the minimum of the new salary. It does allow us to be more competitive when a new position is recruited, like we are now recruiting for the Workforce Development Director Board, director position. So what I would appreciate your help, your assistance with is moving the 4 positions listed into a pay band that's 1 step above the current pay band. And this is something that our personnel policies say that requires board approval, and it's not something that can be done administratively. Questions?
Gary, you said there's no financial impact right now?
No, no extra money is needed at this point. It does allow the workforce board to offer a higher salary for the new workforce development, a higher starting salary for the new workforce development director position. But none of the people incumbents would, they're all making more than starting salary of the new band.
Okay,
Unless anybody
entertain
else has any questions, I'll move approval.
And I'll second that.
a motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christie.
And Mr. Chairman, the last couple of items for you. We continue to assist the Central Virginia Vaccination Task Force with administrative help. They're doing good work. The emergency services coordinators of each of our, particularly the counties, but in the city as well, and are working with this task force, and we're providing some administrative work. Kelly's doing a great job helping them. And as the vaccine quantities come in, you'll see them even more active in their pods. And finally, just to make sure you knew, Susan Cook worked for us for 15, 16 years, long time, and retired last year and passed away unexpectedly earlier this month. So we missed her when she retired. We'll miss her now, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that Susan had passed away.
For that information, sir.
And staff does not have any more business for you to cover. Our next meeting will be on April 15th, and it will be we'll have a TPO meeting at 4 and a PDC meeting at 5. We're going to open up our offices and have a hybrid situation where anybody who wants to come into the office can come into the meeting, and then we'll have a electronic capability as well. One thing I wanted to show you, make sure you saw on the bottom of your agenda was a link to our 2020 annual report. Mallory, can you put that up on the screen real quick? That I'm not quite sure how we can circulate this among our elected officials throughout the district, except to send a link. But we have an annual report now, and Mallory has done a wonderful job putting it together. Go ahead and flip a couple of pages so people can see that it's full of pictures and colors and information about what we've done during 2020. So we'll send that link to the managers, and if you'll put it in somehow get it to your elected officials so they can see that our report is out there and available.
All righty.
Beyond the annual report and the next meeting, that's all the business that I have for you.
Any other members have any other business needs to be brought at this time? Not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Hang on, Megan might have something. Greetings, Megan. Good to see you. Oh,
Unmute. All right, if that's all.
well, let Megan, I think she's doing some typing. No?
She typed, she said, send me the link to the report and we'll send it out. So we'll make sure that she gets it.
Okay,
Thank y'all.
good deal. Thanks, Megan.
Well, if there's no further business, entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. Is there a second?
Megan has seconded. Yep.
All in
Silent.
favor? Any opposed?
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time
Yeah.
tonight.
Appreciate you all attending. Thank you.
Yep.
This time, this meeting is adjourned. We will see y'all next time.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your
You're
work.
welcome. Thank y'all for being here.